when we go back into this, you got past?
No, I just took a
When we go back into this one, I asked you guys yesterday, or I showed you guys that there was one, it was missing a letter. And I told you guys that the A should be on that lower left-hand corner where the two intersect. So if you get that far, then everything else just kind of falls into place, or in place. Now, one of the things that's nice about these parallel alignments is that it forces you to like look at the whole picture at once. And to be honest with you, I think it's a really nice setup to work backwards with. Okay, it's a really easy way to work backwards. So if we just look at our given, we have the two sets of parallel lines. And both of those are givens. All right. We mark our diagrams, roll the arrows in. And now I've got a whole bunch of numbers and stuff to worry about. Okay? So what I want to do is figure out where I need to end. I need to end by showing that 7 and 4 are congruent. I have to show that this is going to happen. I can't say anything about that now because they're on two separate lines. So what I need to do is be able to work backwards from the 4 to find some way of showing that it's the same thing as 7. So starting at 4, if I'm at angle 4, which of the other 3 angles that are on that same transversal are the same as 4?
Right, on that tree.
On that transversal.
Don't get mad at me.
On that transversal, which ones are going to be the same? I'm looking here, guys. This is the complexity of what you have to be able to do. Which one of those is the same as 4? Yes, sir. Try again. 5. Why? They're not vertical angles. Yes, sir. If you can't figure this out, have your progression sheet out in front of you. Maybe the fact of trying to do these before you get to class also is helpful, so that way you can look at the angle pair relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not an option. You guys have to be resourceful here, okay? You do understand that. If you're going to try and cram and say, oh, I can come into flex with along with the other 30 people are going to try and show up and get all this done in one day, it's not going to happen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What you have to be able to do is look at what you know. I have angle 4. I know angle 5 has to be the same because alternate interior. Now I switch and I look at the other line, the line of EC. Notice 7 and 5 happen to be in the same position. What angle pair is that?
That's corresponding.
They're corresponding. So there you go. 7 is 5, 5 is 4, 7 is 4. That's all it is. Angle 7, congruent, angle 5. Why? Parallel lines cut by a transversal. Corresponding angles congruent. Angle 5, congruent to angle 4. Why? Corresponding angle, or parallel lines cut by a transversal. Alternate interior angles. Oops. Right. Congruent. 7 is 5, 5 is 4, 7 is 4. Why? If you, did you write 7 is 5, 4 is 5? Or do you have 7 is 5, 5 is 4? Ah, so it's not substitution then. It's transit because it's on the diagonal, okay? Now, I know other people have written it. It really depends on how you labeled it out, okay? It really depends on how you labeled it. The way that I labeled it, it's going to be 7 is 4 because it's transitive. If you put them in a different order, different sequence, it could be something different. People have written it as 5 is 7, 5 is 4, 7 is 4 for substitution. Or 7 is 5, 4 is 5, 7 is 4 because of substitution. There's a couple of different ways of going about it. It's not that what you might have is wrong. It's just that if it happens to be 5s on the diagonal like that, it has to be a transitive set. That's all. That's it. 2 givens, 2 progressions, and you're done. You only had to come up with 2 things. That's all you have to do or worry about. That's how fast these things are, guys. That's how fast these things are. Okay? As you go further into here, it's not the matter of copying other people's work just to make it look like you did your stuff, because that's bull to me.
No,
I had to go
couldn't-
get my
couldn't-
homework.
I couldn't read your handwriting. That was there. I'm sorry. Do you want me to copy it off the board? Because it's basically the same thing. It's not like I was doing every other problem.
I'm just saying, it's happening more and more every day because people just don't do their homework.
In my head, I'm like,
Okay? Just so you know. Guys, hey, you know what? Don't do your homework. Fine. Whatever. I get it. It's 15% of your grade. The best you can get is an 85%. I'd like you to see you get an 85% without doing any homework. It won't happen. Gave you guys, and it's not just, and I apologize if you're rewriting her hand, because you're right, her handwriting is much better than mine. So I apologize for calling you out on that one. But I've seen it time and time again. People are just writing down what their neighbor has to make it look like they did their homework. Whatever. It's not going to teach you anything. Filling in the blanks right now just because I'm writing it on the board. Oh, maybe he'll collect it. That's why would I do it? I've done all of them. You need to check your work to make sure you're doing it correctly. You need to be able to realize where you're going wrong. What step did you take that was the incorrect one versus what would be the right step? The idea of not sitting around on phones, not messing around and talking the whole time. It's all of that. It's the idea that you are responsible for what you're doing. Yes, this is hard. Yes, this takes a little bit of time to get used to. But by now, we are at the cusp of the end of the hard stuff. Okay? This should be a whole lot easier by now. We should not be asking questions of, I don't know where to start. I'm still hearing that a lot. You guys have all information in the world in front of you. It's a matter of becoming independently thinking about what to do. And that's where most of you guys still have your problem. You're too used to being force-fed. High school, when you get up upper level math, you're not force-fed. You have to come up with things on your own. Okay? You have to take control of your education. You can't just let people say, oh, here's what you're going to do. Here you're going to do it. Here you're going to do it. You have to be able to think on your feet, guys. Okay? And I know I've said this a bunch of times for you. Maybe one of these days it'll stick. Okay? So back to the next one. This next one is a setup of how we finished out yesterday. We added a square about this. We talked about what happens when you need to show that lines are parallel. When you have to show that lines are parallel, that's the last step that they give you, or that's what they're trying to get you to prove. That usually means you're going to have to use this step at the end. You're going to have to figure out some way of showing one of the four angle pair relationships to make it work. If you can, then your lines are parallel. It's that fast. And it's the same basic idea as what we just did. If we go back and restart this one, just by looking at what you know and what you have to show, you can usually work backwards from the picture to figure out what you have to do. It says G and H are parallel. Here's your parallels. Right away, I've got two parallel lines cut by transversal. What do I know about 1 and 3? They're corresponding. Are they congruent?
Yes.
Yeah. So in my head, I know that these two guys are going to be corresponding angles. I'm just going to mark my diagram. I look at my next thing that I have. I am given that 1 and 2 are the same. Huh, look at that. What do I know about 3 and 2 then?
Alternate.
Are they congruent?
Yes.
Therefore, the lines are done. It's 4 steps. People have asked me today, do I have to put this congruency step in here first, or can I write my given? It doesn't matter. Either one is fine. The only reason that I put that first, because as soon as I mark my diagram as parallel, I recognize that 1 and 3 are corresponding. Might as well write something down about it real quick. Doesn't hurt any. One is 3, 1 is 2. What do you say? 3 is 2. Can I say 3 is 2 or 2 is 3? Does it matter? And there's your substitution. And then you're done because P is parallel to R because alternate exterior angles congruent, lines parallel. That's how it's written out. Okay, that's how it's written out. Yes, sir. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. The only reason, and some people do that, some people don't. The only reason that I put that 1 and 3 first is because when I marked my diagram, I saw it. Oh, I'm gonna write this down real quick. That's all. Yeah, it's one of those things, guys. If you recognize it, you see it when you mark the diagram, by all means, just write it down. It doesn't hurt any. Yes, ma'am.
Why is it substitution?
Ah, see how 1 and 1 are above each other?
Yeah.
That's why. 1 is 3, 1 is 2. Two angles that equal the same thing can be substituted for one another. If I had written it as 3 is 1, 1 is 2, then the 1 would have been on that diagonal, and then it could be transitive. If you wrote it as 3 is 1, 2 is 1, it still works as substitution. It just depends on how you write it out. There's 3 different ways you could write it. It's just the way that I want to write it, that's all. How did you write it? What did you write?
I thought it was it's like a change.
Oh, yeah. No, because when you're working through these things here, you're right, these are alternates here. But you don't know that these two lines aren't parallel yet. You're trying to show the lines are parallel. You're trying to show the lines are parallel. You don't know that they're parallel, so you can't use that step.
Wait, we can't use this one.
Not for that one yet. What? All right, you're probably not the only one that did this. Hey guys, the reason why you can't say that
Just because
you can't do parallel lines cut by a transversal here, alternate exterior. The reason why you can't put that there is because are these two lines parallel anywhere before it? No. You're proving that they're parallel. So you can't use that step to say that they are because you haven't said that they're parallel yet. Does that make sense? What they're forcing you to do is use the process of, oops, wrong one. They're trying to force you to use the process of 1 is 3, 1 is 2, 3 is 2 by using the substitution that gives you, hey, look at this. Those are alternate exterior angles. Those alternate exterior angles are congruent, which means then I can say that they're parallel. You're getting ahead of yourself. You're trying to show that they're parallel, but you haven't said that they're, does that make sense?
Or you could say they haven't been given yet.
Yeah, they haven't, that's a better way of saying it. It wasn't given to you that they're parallel, so you can't use that. Okay? You can't assume, you can't make an angle side side out of you and me. What are the first 3 letters? Do I have to spell it out for you?
Pretty much.
Angle is the first.
Does everybody understand it now? I know it takes a second. It's still, it's not even 11 yet, so it takes a minute for things to sink in.
Angle, size,
I like that. It makes sense if you get it. That's what, like, that's why.
You don't get it? It loses it when you have to really explain it, but you see where I'm going here. Okay.
Your ace.
Walk out.
Took a passport.
High school students
Wait, who?
at their prime.
Hey, guess what? 10 is the same problem.
I see now.
10 is basically the exact same thing, but yet you have different angle pairs. That's it. So, notice you're given that lines N and M, those are the ones that are going up and to the left. These two guys. are parallel. They gave it to you, they put the arrows in right away. And then I'm looking at it and I marked it. What can I say about 1 and 3?
That they're equal. Are they congruent?
They're equal, or you can say they're congruent, but what is, what angle pair are they?
Alternate.
Alternate interior. See they're between the lines?
Yeah.
They're between the lines there. Okay. They're on the inside. And now they're also given that 1 and 2 are the same. So now, what's the relationship with 3 and 2? They're alternate interior. Are those two lines or two angles congruent?
Yes.
Therefore, the lines are parallel. It's the same exact proof, but you have different angle pair.
It's so weird when you say now that I'm saying.
Thank you.
I need it more than when I was like. I just put it in my bite. I was like, it's fascinating.
Again, did I really need to put that there? Could I put that the third step? Sure. It's not a big deal. Everything works out. Hey, great thing, great minds think alike.
Haha.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the test, you get like one step wrong, and like the rest is right, if it's right. It's like about accident. It's like,
No, and that's what's difficult to do about, or actually I should say difficult, but that's what's nice about worrying with proof stuff, is that you can accidentally, let's say you said 1 and 3 were corresponding, but yet you did everything else correct. That's why proofs are generally more point value, because you can take just a small point off and being the wrong part, but yet all the algorithmic thinking behind it can be correct, okay? That's why it takes forever to grade these. So, there's your substitution again.
I wrote transitive.
What's that?
I wrote transitive.
It's substitution.
Oh, I got something to see.
I'm like, I swear transitive isn't spelled with an S. It depends on how it was written before. Did I do it this way? I don't remember if we did something different. It just remembers that it depends on how you wrote it. Was it 3 is 1 up top here? Then it would be substitution. 1 is 3, 1 is 2, 3 is 2. That's substitution because of this. Okay? Now, you could have, by all means, you could have done it this way. 3 is 1, 1 is 2, 3 is 2. That would have been transitive if you had it in that order. Okay? That's why it's one of those things that you just got to be careful about what way you set it up. Okay? That's all. I mean, as long as you set up the right pattern.
Hey, I told you I'm not gonna
All right, so then you have 3 and 2 are your, yes, sir. No, go ahead, please.
No, it has to do with the test.
Oh, I'm going to go over things about all that here in a second.
All right.
If you can hold your questions till the end.
Yes.
And that's how that one works itself. Okay. And I think the last one is basically the exact same thing. Okay. If I'm not mistaken. There are, like I said, guys, there's plenty of different ways to set these things through. It just depends on which angle pair you see. Excuse me, sir.
Start right now and be.
All right, it depends on which angle pair you see.
I'm gonna break my neck.
I'm right now. I'm scared.
Scary. You ever broke anything?
All right. So last one as you go through, guys, last one as we go through, same deal. You're given one set of parallel lines. You're trying to show that the other set are parallel. Now, when you do that, obviously we know that these two are parallel. They've marked the diagram. So, I'm really getting sick and tired of asking you to stop talking because you're a really loud talker. Because I think you still have earbuds in your ears. So sometimes you do. Exactly. So please, please stop. Thank you. So you're given those sets. Those two sets right there are parallel. Now you also, with those two parallel lines, you'll notice there's one transversal, P. Look at that right away to see, is there some angle pair relationship with any of those three angles that you're looking at? Is there anything that are congruent between numbers 1, 2, and 3? No.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Which ones are they? 1 and 2 are the same. Why are 1 and 2 the same? Those two guys are the same because they're alternate interior. Okay? Now, it also says that 1 and 4 have to be supplementary. Well, 1 and 4 being supplementary, well, what else is supplementary to 4?
2.
2. So, there's a couple of ways we can go about this. You can do congruent supplements, or you can do a quick substitution step.
3 is.
Okay? I know that.
Wait, I have a question. Is there different ways to do this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I keep saying this, there are, man, there's probably a good 3 or 4 different ways to go about this one.
Because I feel like when I look back at my old problems, I feel like I'm doing these ones right, but then you write something different.
It's not, probably not wrong. And that's what's the thing, with most of these, there's so many ways of going about it. If it's set up and you're using the logic the right way, you're probably not wrong. Now, I know that, so now I know that 1 and 4 are supplementary. Which means anywhere I have a 1, I can replace it with a
4. I mean, my
but the conviction was there. 4. I can replace it with a 2.
So 2 is 4.
Those two are supplementary now because all I did was just replace it, so I just substitution. Now, yes, ma'am.
I got like all the rest of the problems except, or like the, problems except for the second one.
Okay. There's a couple ways of going through this. Don't erase what you have yet. Let me finish the way I'm going it, and I'll look at it, all right? Because it might be, I think I know what you did without even reading it, and I'll look at it in a second here. What's the angle pair relationship then between 2 and 4? That's not an angle pair, dang it. We can make it one, but I don't think they would want us to. They're look at your progression sheet. You should have examples of all 4 of them. Are those 2 consecutive interior angles, are they supplementary? Yeah, because we said they are. So are the lines parallel?
Yes.
There you go. So now you can say P is parallel to R because consecutive interior angles supplementary, lines parallel. Okay? That's what you're trying to do is you're trying to show that one of those angle pair relationships occurred. Was it were they congruent, or did we get a consecutive interior being supplementary and go from there?
Okay, I usually write like stuff that I use to say. I did that.
This isn't given that it's 180, they're given that they're supplementary, so you have to do that step first. And then you can do linear pair. You're missing a few steps. I know where you're trying to do that. You're making it harder than it needs to be. You'd have to use the definition of supplementary to make this. This is okay. Then you'd have to substitute in back and forth. Then you'd have to say that 1 and 2 are the same. Then you can put it in and subtract out. It's a lot harder to go that way, but it would work. That's easier. Which you. Okay. Yeah, you have to do that because if you don't have anything about the 1 and 2, you can't say that these two guys are going to be supplementary because you don't know that these two lines are parallel. Does that make sense? I think that's what you did done there too. Yeah, so you have parallels 1 and 3 are there. 1 and 2 is given. This is all right, yeah.
Can you look at that?
Oh, well, I can't read what you wrote below it. I thought you were asking me to do
I
there.
only
Which one,
added the
bottom
bottom
up?
one. I only added 1 and 2 because of what you
Same,
said.
same deal, same deal. You can't say this 2 and 4 being supplementary because you don't know that P and Q are parallel. See what I'm saying? Because those two guys are on, these two guys are created by P and Q on this transversal. I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying Q with all that stuff. So since these two lines create them, we don't know that they're parallel because that's what we're trying to show.
But doesn't 2 and 1 show that?
But we have to get to that. You can't just say it without showing it first. Okay? What you have to do is you have to go to get to this. You can't just, I mean, you want it to be there, but you can't jump to it until you show that it's not there. It's like, how'd you get your answer? You have to show your work. You didn't, yeah, I'm asking you to write out your steps instead of just using a file. That you can put that in there. That's all. Okay? So, to be honest with you, as you get into a lot of these angle-proof ones with the parallel lines and whatnot, I honestly think that they are easier than some of the segment and angle ones, like the midpoint or angle bisector, things like that, because it's a little bit more visual, and there's only 4 angle things you can work with. A lot of these also you can look at the diagram and work backwards from to see which other ones have to relate to one another by using substitution and things like that. The test tomorrow, the way that I had it written out when I finished it up last night, is basically it's like 2.6 and 2.7. I believe those were both what we did with segment and angle proof things. Remember how we did we've had a couple of different.
Wait, so these are quiz, the one you didn't want to grade?
Yeah,
So
that's kind of like that.
And
Yeah. Okay. So you guys have done, oh man, you've done 20 to 30 of these already. We have done at least 20 to 30 different segment or angle proofs with midpoints, angle bisectors, things like that. We've done a ton of them. Whether or not they are fill in the blank or on your own, there's a bunch of them. What I've done with the quiz, or excuse me, with the test then, is that it's broken into basically 3 parts. Yes, sir.
Would it be like, so you know, like we did like before, on like the you guess the angle?
Well, not guess it, but solve for it. Yeah. I'm getting there. All right, I'm getting there. Yeah, the easy ones.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting there. So we've done a boatload of those problems. We have so many of them in our notes. I think you've done every single one of them that I've had. We've had multiple handouts on them. The extra quizzes that we've done that I've given back to you and all that. So I think I've got a couple, what you're talking about, Nigel, those homeworks to get back to you here in a second. So we have all of those. This new stuff, this 3.2 and 3.3, those are kind of gelled together as far as parallel line proofs. And as you can see, we've done 11 of them here over the past 2 days. We've done a few more from the day before, so there's a good 15 or so of those to review over. Okay. The last bit, like you were talking about, Nigel, was the stuff in 3.2 and 3.3, the algebra. The algebra one was what you're saying, solve for x. If you have two parallel lines cut by transversal and you recognize that they're corresponding angles, you would set them equal to each other. If they were consecutive interior, you add them to be 180. Things like that. Now there is one other style of that algebra one that we had, I kind of forgot to show you, but I have no doubt that you'll be able to figure it out in about 3 seconds. Let me show you this. What happens if you are given a problem that asks you to find, let me write this out. What if I give you something like this and it asks the question, find the value of x that makes m parallel to n. Yes, sir.
Aren't they corresponding?
Yes, sir. So they would have to be, right. That's all it is. Now, what happens here is that they're not saying that they are parallel. They're asking you to figure out the value that makes them parallel. You equal them because they're corresponding. Whereas before it said you would be this, it'd say solve for x. It would just say solve for x. Here it's what's the value of x that makes them parallel. It's just worded ever so slightly different, but you do the exact same thing. What you would do in a diagram again is mark it and walk through. And you're right, if they're going to be parallel, they'd have to be corresponding, which means they'd have to, according to my diagram here, they'd have to be congruent. And you would just set it equal to each other. Okay? Let's be honest, I hope you're writing this down, not just playing on your phone. Two-step algebra, pretty quick and painless. Add 5x, subtract 5x, subtract 13, and you get happy math. Yay, happy math.
As equals x. Yeah, they could for 1 second.
It's so like
Anyway, that's what we're looking there. The test itself, we've got, like I said, we've got the algebra problems. We have, so make sure you've got your calculator. We have the proof problems. The proof problems, again, are going to be the same style that we've looked at. I'm not making anything more complicated than we've seen. I'm not trying to make it too easy. It's going to be right on the same level of what we've done. You've got, what is it? 3 of them are fill in the blank, and I got 2 on your own. I believe the 2 on your own shouldn't be any more than 5 steps. They're real quick, okay? They should not be crazy. Maybe 6, I'm not sure. I don't remember, honestly. But there's nothing that's going to, the way that I have them all written out, it shouldn't be anything that's going to frighten you. It's not like the boogeyman sleeping underneath your bed. Because you have with your Chromebook, right? It's very straightforward. So if I were you, hate this class even more, but no. I was sitting there listening to myself teach all day. Yeah, right. I feel bad for you sometimes. Jokes don't get any better. I would sit there and I would spend time going back over older proofs. I would spend time looking at those fill in the blank proofs that we have, and maybe taking a sheet of paper and looking at, if this was given, I'm covering this up. Yeah, you can see it, right? I'd be doing stuff like this with a separate sheet of paper and trying to figure out, okay, what did they do here? Why did they do that? And just kind of quiz myself. Hey, why are those two congruent? Well, if I look back at the diagram here, what was done? Can I guess that it was this and do that? I'd look at my older quizzes where we went over them again. We rewrote them out. Look at the flow and how things are set up. Look at when we had to add in something, subtract something out with segments or with angles, with angle addition, segment addition. Do you use segment addition if you're dealing with angles?
Yes.
No.
Do you use segment addition if you're dealing with angles?
Yes.
Things like that. So, honestly, we've done like every single proof that I could find, except for a couple more. What's that? Not yet. But believe it or not, when we start stuff on Monday, I don't know if we actually will start a proof on Monday. We'll start talking about congruency statements with triangles. And when we get into triangle, bless you, when we get into triangle proofs, they tend to be easier. Because all of this, I think you might be the only person that did it vertically.
Yeah, no, then on the other side.
You gave in to, like everybody else, right? Follower.
Sorry, I didn't like it. I wanted to know what side I do all.
I have one thing I would say that when we get to the triangle stuff, guys, it's a lot of reusing what we have here, but into different diagrams and working backwards through. Yeah, no, I'm getting it for them. Okay, you're gonna be surprised that most of the triangle ones, there's only certain ways to make them work, and you should be all right with them. Okay. In the book, if you want to look at a couple extra algebra problems, do you have that calculator still? That was mine. That was mine because yours is on the chart. Don't forget to switch them off, okay? Thanks, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
So, if you want a blank one, what Haley's doing, she's taking a blank one, she's going to write down her progressions again. Hey, what a great idea! It helps you think about them. If you want a blank progression sheet, I've got blank ones in the back if you want to rewrite it. If your handwriting is atrocious and you can't reread it, you know, I've got a couple of atrocious.
Guys, look what I started.
Haley, can you send me a picture of your progression sheet?
Yeah. Whose is that?
Yours.
Now, which ones were they?
Do you want me to put this on your card?
Huh?
Yeah, do you mind? I want to get this through. I just remember what pages this is on.
It just fell on the ground, so.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I don't know where.
Oh, I thought you meant you just threw it on the ground like you were just doing that to throw it on the ground. No, I want you guys to study this stuff up, and I'm going to show you guys in the book. In the book, what page was it? In the book on page 203, there are some really good algebra problems in case you had forgotten how to set up some of the algebra ones. In the back, those are very, very helpful as far as just some extra problems to look at. Other than that, I mean, I'm not lying. You guys have done. You guys have done basically every proof that we have, aside from a few that I might be holding back on for tomorrow. But you know, why?
What's on your face?
Yeah, I've got it in my hand. Like I said, well, the three parts to that testing, those are you've got to fill in the blank on your own and spell. Okay.
Where?
And go from there. So, yes, sir.
has the day off for a high holy pumpkin.
Oh yeah, because someone's gonna say, yeah.
Yes, I know my children are
It
there.
says not for personal use.
Why don't we get out for high holy pumpkin day?
I don't know.
Wait, we have no school next Thursday, I mean next Friday, and then the Friday after. Wait, we don't have Thursday?
We have a half day on
So basically
Thursday.
Thursday that we're like,
We
done.
have a no school on Friday.
There's a game like Saturday, right? Wait, why does Sycamore have a half day today? I don't like that.
It's like their institute day.
No.
They have their institute day today. I didn't grade anybody's.